Yo, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? Saturday talk. Wasn't able to get on yesterday on Friday, Valentine's Day, of course. Spend time with the family. But today, Saturday talk. We finna talk about it, and we finna get right into it. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, case could possibly be dismissed. Let me know in the comments what you think. We finna watch this video, and before I really start breaking this down, but the Department of Justice is looking to dismiss all charges, this case, and according to them, you're going to listen, watch a video that said the same thing. That this case interferes with the mayor's ability to help Trump in the immigration crackdown. It interferes him to do his job. So we're gonna watch this video and real quick, kind of give you a quick little rundown of how this came about. Because at one point he was being brought on charges of corruption, accepting bribes, and stuff of that nature. But let's watch the video first.
Here in New York, resigning just days after the Justice Department ordered her to drop criminal charges against New York City's Mayor Eric Adams. This is another story that continues to unfold in a lot of layers. Justice correspondent David Spunt joins me now live from the Department of Justice. Hi, David.
Hi, Martha, and this is going to continue to unfold over the next few days. So on Monday, acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove, former defense attorney for President Trump, running DOJ until Pam Bondi got in as AG, he instructed Danielle Sassoon, the acting U.S. attorney at SDNY, Southern District of New York, to drop the case against Mayor Eric Adams.
So imagine you go to law school. You go through all the channels it takes to become a prosecuting attorney for the state of New York, I guess, well, state of New York. You take the oath to uphold justice, and you really feel like you're upholding justice. You have this big case. I mean, this case would have, if she would have got this conviction, it would have changed the trajectory of her career probably. It probably would have just blew up through the roof. But imagine you got this case. You're about to convict the mayor of New York. It almost seemed like a slam dunk kind of deal. And then right before you get ready to hit the hammer down, you get a phone call that says, drop the case. We're going to dismiss this. Sometimes that's hard for people to swallow. And in this game, from what I'm seeing, like I'm not inside the game, I'm on the outside looking in. It sounds like she tried to play the game the right way, whatever that means, and the right way didn't work out in her favor. Now she's resigning because she, in her heart of hearts, can't go through with this. She didn't see it. That's what's happened when you go into something with a passion, ambition, and not understanding the game that you're playing. You're just looking at it from one way. If you're not objective, this is just my opinion. If you're not objective about things and understand how the game works, you'll be in this situation. Let's keep watching.
Called it weaponization. They said he was not able to carry out his duties as mayor. He instructed her to drop it. 4 days later, it's not dropped. I just got my hands literally on an 8-page letter, and he is laying into Danielle Sassoon for not dropping the case. He says, Ms. Sassoon, in response to your refusal to comply with my instruction to dismiss, I write to notify you that your resignation is accepted.
So, when you see the picture, she looked like a person that that's wholesome, that really wants to go by the letter of the law. But how many of us know there are many letters in the alphabet? It's not just one letter, you know. And like I say, when you get to that level, being a state prosecutor, it's not just one way, it's many ways. And if you can't digest that, you'll be in this situation that she's in right now. And we're going to talk about Eric Adams too. But I really want to get people to understand you can go into everything with the right intentions, but you got to understand there is a bigger picture, and you have to be able to digest that as well as your ambitions and passions to be in politics. Or because whether you believe it or not, when you're a prosecutor, you're in politics. And we're seeing it unfold right before our eyes. So
it says it says the decision is based on your choice to continue pursuing a politically motivated prosecution despite an express instruction to dismiss the case. You lost sight of the oath that you took when you started at the Department of Justice by suggesting that you retain discretion to interpret the Constitution. So Eric Adams' case.
So they just told her in their way why they will accept her resignation. Why she gonna step down? Because she want to interpret the law in her way, to her discretion. But there's a bigger picture, and sometimes it's not just black and white with politics. It's not. You seeing it unfold right before your eyes. You have to think about that before you start getting into this game. It's a thinking game. That's why we got the podcast. Make sure to watch that Thinking Game podcast on Tuesdays at 6:30, something like that when we get off work. But check that out when you get a chance.
Right now, Martha, is officially not dropped. A judge would have to sign off on it. Where we are now is that Danielle Sassoon has resigned. The Justice Department will put somebody in that position until President Trump's choice is going to be confirmed. And the judge really doesn't have much recourse. If the prosecution and the defense both agree that Eric Adams' case needs to be thrown out, ultimately, it's probably going to be thrown out. But right now, there's definitely a lot going back and forth between this building here in Washington, D.C. and SDNY over the Eric Adams case, which is still not dropped at this point.
And it would have to ultimately be dropped by the judge. And you say he would be likely to do that if both sides say they're not pursuing it, right?
Likely to do it. He could put up a fight. He could ask some questions. He could write something. But ultimately, in the end, if both sides agree, he's likely going to go forward with it.
All right. David, thank you very much for the update.
Thanks.
David Spunt at Justice.
So, thinking about this, right? They said a judge, if both sides agree to dismiss the case, nothing that the judge could really do. You have to understand the processes of law. It may not be fair, you may not like it, but it's what's the law as far as the whole bigger picture of what we think. It's what we think the law is, and then it's the real law that we don't see, like stuff like this. This judge is going to have to make a decision. Because if he goes against the grain like this prosecutor did, he could possibly lose his job. And these are the kind of things that make it hard when you pick a job or career field. It's always that tough day or that tough circumstance. If you can get past the tough circumstance and not let it affect you, you can keep moving forward. But it's always, though, if you can get past the toughest day or the toughest circumstance, that's the part you got to ask yourself. Because I'm pretty sure when that woman who was a prosecutor that resigned, she probably didn't envision being in a situation like this, where it's politically charged up and people making deals and stuff under the table, and it affect everything. So, my next question is, would you roll with Trump to get out the charges? Would you make a deal with Trump to get out of your charges? If Trump call you and say, let's have a sit down, let's talk, and you facing corruption charges, you're facing bribery charges, and a New York prosecutor is ready to just slam dunk you, and you got to think of governor elections coming up. In my opinion, I don't think he's worried about winning another election. I think he was more worried about getting out of this case. But the crazy part is they were saying that even if the case is dismissed, it could possibly be reopened or revisited after this governor mayor election. So I think his defense team is going to try to make a deal where this case is shut and it cannot be revisited. They probably gonna have to work hard. Some things gonna have to happen behind the scenes, but I think they're gonna try to push forward in this. So how would you handle the circumstance if you was in this circumstance? Let me know in the comment. Would you stand tall and go through with the case? Or would you make a deal with Trump? Would you make a deal with Trump? Would you take that walk up the street and get out of this case? Because they said he was a Democrat, but the Democrats didn't help him. This is the part of the game that I see in politics that's not talked about enough. When you're on a team and when everything's going good, everybody's behind you. But when you're
Don't get caught slipping.
When you get caught slipping, you out there by yourself. And you got to think for yourself. In my opinion, that's what he did. Right or wrong, we all been there. Self-preservation is real. And sometimes it's what it seems like in politics from what I see. Sometimes you got to make tough decisions. Sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do in order to get things done. Whether it's right or wrong, that's up for you to decide. But most people that's in this situation, they don't think about, I'm just telling you from an objective standpoint, like from a psychological standpoint, when you're in a federal case of corruption and all this stuff, a guy in New Jersey just got convicted of that, and he actually got to do jail time, an older guy. That stuff weighs in on you. That stuff wanes in on you. You have to think that he's thinking like, I got to get out of this case. I don't want to be facing years of federal imprisonment. I don't want to even think about having to go to a jail or deal with the stain of having a conviction on my record. So he had to make a deal. And I'm not saying he probably didn't want to make the deal. But what other options did he have? What other options did he have? And a lot of people talk about standing tall, being tough, all this tough talk, until it's time to do it. And then you don't want to do it. Huh? Huh?
It's cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it.
So think about politics, man. We don't know enough as regular people. Everyday working people, we don't know enough about politics. Matter of fact, let me know in the comments what percentage of, if you could do like 100%, no, regular, everyday 9-to-5 working people on the ground, what percentage do you think that we know about politics? 1 to 100. What percentage do you think? 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%? I don't think nobody knows 100% about politics unless you was in it before or something like that. But if you're a regular working person, going to work every day, taking care of your family, how much do you know about politics, percentage-wise? Let me know in the comments what you think. Next topic, Big Meech and Rick Ross concert canceled. Big Meech and Rick Ross concert canceled. 50 Cent says he has nothing to do with it. Is he capping or is he keeping it real? In my opinion, I don't think he directly has something to do with it, but I think indirectly, trolling, saying things, calling people rats, that puts a lot of confusion in the air. That's the thing about it in the streets, man. It's always a lot of confusion. When things get sketchy and you really don't know, it makes a lot of confusion, right? Now, we're talking about a man who did just about all of his sentence and being accused of being a rat. A lot of people are coming out, calling him out. He made a rebuttal video, said, I would never fold, death before dishonor. But a lot of people calling him out, saying he was a rat. I don't know if he is or not. I'm just saying it's something about being in the streets, man. It is so fickle. It is so fair weather just changed with the weather. It's not. Imagine you look at Meech's thing. He sold drugs at the height. It was in his prime for like 5 years, which is probably not real. Most dudes that be on the run like that, maybe like 1 or 2, but he did it for 5 years. Got caught, was able to make a deal with the feds to not get life. Did almost 30, or 20, 31 of them, 25, 31 of them. Get out, and instead of being welcome back home to be a stand-up guy, now they're accusing you of being a rat. Imagine that. So, allegedly, artists started to bag out of the show, and ticket sales weren't at expected numbers. Now, was this because 50 was trolling, calling him a rat? Everybody calling him out on social media? Man, social media, boy, is crazy. Let me know in the comments what you think. They said some artists were starting to bag out, wasn't sure about what was going on. Eventually, the truth will come out. Whether he did it or not, we really don't know, but the truth will come out. And you think about 50, right? As long as he was working with 50, everything was cool. No issues, no problems. The minute he would appear on the thing with Rick Ross, now it's a problem. Now he a rat. Now he working with the woman Tammy or whatever they say her name is. Now it's a problem.
It's cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it.
This man trying to make as much money as he can. Just got out. Probably getting a lot of blessings from people. You know what I'm saying? People coming by, throwing packages his way. And because somebody don't like somebody else, things just go crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's how the streets work, man. You got to have an algorithm in your head. It's crazy. It'll wear you down, man. Who am I talking to? Who am I associated with? Is he associated with this person? Is he not associated with this person? If I do this, what is this going to cause? It's just too much overhead, man. But if you like the streets, some people like the streets, but it's just too much overhead, man. And it ain't really worth it. It's really not worth it. But some people it is. Some people like it. But I'm saying it's not worth it. And sometimes in the streets, you can build up a reputation for it only to be challenged. I mean, you could be totally stand up, build up the reputation, and it'll still be challenged because people are just that fickle. That's just how the world works. That is just how the world works. All right. This is my thinking topic. My youngins out there. Before you go down the path, look at this picture. You can't even see all the way at the end. That's how life is. Before you go down the path, as much as you can think or discern, you got to think about what's on that road. If I do this action, what's at the end of that road? If I pull the trigger, what's at the end of this road? If I talk to this girl, what's at the end of that road? You start rolling the dice. You get her pregnant. What's at the end of that road? If I do a robbery, what's at the end of this road? I'm hungry. I don't got the means, but I got to go get it. Okay. But think about what's at the end of that road. What's at the end? Look, you can't even see it. Look, all the way down that thing. Look all the way down. You can't even see what's at the end of that road. How do you know a lot of times what's at the end of the road? Because people that did this before you. There is nothing new under the sun that haven't been done. You just haven't researched it or looked it up. You rob a bank. What's at the end of that road? At least 10 years fair time. At least. That's the least you're going to get. 10 years fair time. Murdering somebody. I was on the Department of Correction just looking at stuff. Somebody had first-degree murder, 480 months. Do you know it's only 12 months in a year? 480 months. Man. 480 months. I think I seen capital murder. It said life without. And you know what they time said? 999 months. That means infinity. Infinity. That means you ain't getting out. And guess what? If you sell dope at the highest level, guess what you get with the feds? If you don't do a plea deal, you try to take it to trial, you can get life, and you don't get parole. Life in the feds, they said your time says deceased. That means you're going to die in the feds. And I'm not telling you, I'm telling you from experience, stuff I see. Do the research. And you can see somebody else has went down that path before you. And all you got to do is look at the results. The results don't lie. So, I'm going to play this video, and the language is a little strong. But I really want kids to understand, like playing around in them streets and not realize what is happening.
When they had next tell church, I was fucking when Bet You Can't Do It Like Me first came out. I was fucking like everybody ran through. If you was outside from '99 in the early 2000s and you still outside, you ran through. Yeah. You
I wasn't outside.
Yeah. That's motherfucking
And I'm
20
old
at this point.
Went outside. Yeah.
That's 26 All-Star games. That's 26 spring breaks. That's 26 summer jams. That's 26 Jay-Z concerts. It ain't no more pussy left. Man, you done fucked everything.
If you was outside in the year 2000 and you still outside.
Trust me, I done fucked in every decade. I was, man.
Every generation.
Come on, man. I was fucking when they had next tell church. I was fucking when Bet You Can't.
All right, let me check it out. Why am I showing this video, right? All the times we see the extreme paths, right? Selling drugs, doing violence, harming somebody. But let me tell you about another path. Going down the sexual path. Man talking to different women. Going down that path. What's at the end of that road? It could be a multitude of things, but there are many results at the end of that road. Because you're going to have to pay the toll at the end of that road. You're going to have to. Some dudes have multiple kids by multiple women. Child support take most of your money. That is a result at the end of the road. There are some people who go down this road. They mess around, get like a STI, STD, or even something fatal, the house in Vegas. That happens too. Another thing that happens is your mindset starts to change and you start to form an unrealistic reality of the things that you're dealing with. It may seem real to you the further you get down this road, but what happens is when you try to get off this road, you've been on this road for so long, you have to unlearn so much that you learned on this road that you realize that while you was on this road, you was picking up so much bad habits and bad thoughts and bad concepts maybe, but a lot of people go down this path and it don't get talked about enough. Another way you go down this path is you go down this path and you keep linking up with the wrong people. And this road can make you bitter in life. It'll make you bitter. You'll think every dude is gonna dog you out, but it's the people that you meet on the path that attracts you. You keep meeting these type of people. And those type of people that you deal with, yes, they will. And some people don't have enough common sense to say, okay, if I'm dealing with this group of people in this circle, I need to change circles if I want to have a different result. Or else it's going to be the same result. Just common sense. Once again, I'm not telling you something that somebody told me. I'm telling you like a path that I went down. A lot of times when you're on this path, you're going to meet people that's probably on that path with you. That's why I'm saying it's easy to say that somebody else is wrong, but guess what? You was on that path too. I'm talking about regular stuff, no rape. I'm saying like when somebody on this path, two willing people, it takes two willing people to go down that path to having sex out of wedlock. You mess around and have kids. And the first kid, you're like, okay, first kid, hey. First kid, hey. But you got to figure it out. But then when you start getting to 2, 3, 4, 5, you have to start looking at you like, what am I doing? But if you want to keep going down that path, you're going to find out how tough it is. You're going to find out how in the world do I work full time, take my kid to school, take them to appointments, and maintain a level of stability. You can do it, but you got to be on point. There is no room for error when you're a single parent. There is not a lot of room for error. Matter of fact, let me know in the comments, any single parents out there. Let me know in the comment. Because a lot of times when you go down this path, bad decisions can set you back from trying to get to a point of stability or a point of success where you can have a foundation to run off of. A lot of times we making decisions, we don't even have a foundation set yet. But you're out here rolling the dice and doing, crazy stuff. I've been there. And the last thing I'm going to talk about on this one is when you're young and you're graduating high school, this is how the path looks. And when you're going down a path, your decision making, your choices, and your time is your best asset because a lot of kids from the inner city don't have money, don't have resources, don't have capital. So in order to get to the place where you can make capital and generate money, You got to make good decisions and make choices that don't set you back, right? You don't want to get caught up in any legal issues because it's going to set you back. You're trying your best not to get caught up in spiritual things like, hey, having sex before marriage, because it could change your mindset. It can set you back. You want to educate yourself in a field that's desirable in the corporate world that can bring you much success and generate money instead of just working a retail job for 5 or 10 years, because you're going to find out that by around year 8, year 9, the returns are going to start to diminish. Really before that, by year 3, year 4, it's going to start to diminish. But while you're young and you're going down this path, you can make great choices. You can educate yourself. You can build up your mindset. And you can do some great things, but before you start on the path, you have to make up your mind what you're going to do when you go down this path. So, one thing about going down the path is the balance of controlling your light and dark side when you're growing up. A lot of times when you're growing up in the inner city, most kids, they see light side or good things, and they see bad things. And it seems like most of the bad things are magnified because that's what's in sometimes in the neighborhood where the kid lives. All of the people that are doing the good things, it seems like it's not in the community. It's at work. It's away from home. You go out and make the money, and then you come back home. But if you live in certain areas, it may not be that way in the environment, in the area in which you live. That's why most people go outside of their environment and then come back to it. And being able to control the good and the bad side of you, it's a balancing act. It's tough because when you want money, the good side of you saying, go get educated, take the longer route. There's no get rich quick scheme. And then the bad side of you saying, I can sell dope and make, this amount of money in this short amount of time, and I'll be straight. But then you got to look at the reality, like going down the path, looking at the results before you. Is it worth doing fair time? Is it worth it? In the streets, dealing with beef. Good side, bad side. You're trying to be good. You're living in an area where, it's crazy. Beef come up. Good side, should I walk away? Bad side, do I handle it? Do I go ahead and let them know I'm not the one to play with? Once again, the path. If you walk away and go down that path, you don't have to worry about legal issues. You don't have to worry about ducking and dodging, trying to evade and trying to hide out. But if you handle the beef, you go pull that trigger, there's a whole nother path. You got to think about the consequences. Think about you don't get that path back. You don't get to start over. Then you got to think about the legal issues. A lot of guys in jail right now that went down that path, and when they got to the end, they realized that this wasn't the path to go down. We see it all the time. People talk about it on documentaries. A lot of them, they speak from jail saying, like, change before you have to change. Don't allow people or circumstances to dictate your choices and decisions because it could cause so much harm and danger. I'm saying this with empathy because sometimes people say I didn't know, But in a courtroom, I don't know. It's not going to get you out of trouble. It's not. I'm telling you from what I've saw and heard, talk to people about. And when you're young, you have to look at it like this. You're right there before you make the choice. It's like a path. You want to go down that path or you want to go down another path? It's your choice. But make sure you understand at the end of that path is something waiting on you on either end of the choice. On either end. So my last point on this is there is no checks and balances amongst people in the streets. Not everybody. Some people have it, some people don't. Some people, they'll have checks and balances, and there's some people.
It's cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it.
There's some people out here, there is no checks. It's whatever I want to do, I'm going to do it. And some people start off with checks and balances, but circumstances happen. Things happen. Somebody try you, and you have to show that I'm not the one to be played with. It's kind of how the streets and jail work. If somebody mess with you when you're in that world, when you go down that path, they say, I'm going to be in the streets. If somebody try you, you have to show them that you're not the one. Because if you don't, that's what the street rules are. They're going to keep coming and trying you. That's why it's not good to play around the streets, y'all. It's not good to play around in the streets. Another thing, checks and balances, right? Men and women stuff, right? Out there having sex, uncontrollable, you're not protecting yourself and having kids. Some people don't have the checks and balances to say, wait a minute, man, I'm out here bugging. I need to stop. And another thing is some people good at being in the game and they don't have kids. But they're still out there getting tossed up. But they just hiding the results because they haven't had any kids. They haven't had an STI. They just protecting themselves. But guess what? You're still. And that's what they were saying. If you've been in the game, if you're not married, and you just been single, and you out in the streets, and you've been doing it for years. You out there getting bust down like an AP. The results will show. You can't hide it. The results will show. And I know this is a lot of unspoken things people don't like talking about, but if you've been in the game, you single from 18 to 35, 40, something like that, never been engaged, never been married, you can say you haven't met the right one. Okay, I get it. But if you out there, doing that, that does have an effect.
They told me bust out my AP, perfect time, man.
It will have an effect on you. Whether mentally, physically, or spiritually, it will have an effect on you. I'm telling you from experience. And you have to have the checks and balances amongst yourself. It's not about other people sometimes. Sometimes it's about yourself. You got to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Like Ice Cube. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. You got to check yourself before you can wreck yourself real fast. If you don't check yourself, you got to be careful out there, man, because once you go down that path, sometimes you get in the middle. It's a long way going back. It's a long way going forward. And now you got a choice to make. Do I go back and get it right, or do I keep going down this path? That's something you got to think about in life. That's life, man. All right. I got the wrong. Okay. Okay, this is my last one. And I'm going to, I need to put that on the screen with the banner. I didn't write that up right. Okay. Put that on here. Let's do it like this. There is a shortage All right, here we go. There is a labor shortage wave. A lot of labor jobs, a lot of construction jobs, skilled labor jobs, they're noticing a shortage of these jobs. Why is that? Why is there a labor shortage wave? In my opinion, there is a lack of information that leads to lack of opportunities. A lot of people either they're rejecting the information or there's a lack of information being shared. If you ask the average person what is the closest apprenticeship to them, could they give you a solid answer? Yeah, I know what one is. I know what this one is. I know what this one is. I know what this one is. Do they know where apprenticeships are located in the city that they live in? When I was in high school, and this was 2000, right when I was in 12th grade, I didn't hear a lot of information about apprenticeship, like being an electrician, being a carpenter, stuff like that. It was more college, go to college, get a scholarship, and go to college. By the time I heard about being an electrician, I was kind of deep in the IT game at that point. Shout out to David. He tried to talk to me, man, but I was in a different state of mind, but I didn't even think about doing it. But I think I had chose IT at that point. So that's the road I went down. And I was older by that. I think I was like 26, something like that, 27. Somewhere in there, I don't know. But the lack of information that these kids have, whether they're rejecting it or they just don't know. It's one of the two, but it's still a lack of information. Understanding about how life works, lack of information. Understanding about how to be a professional, lack of information. Understanding that your habits now will carry into your adulthood. Like learning how to use your resources, whether it's getting information from a counselor, whether it's getting information from your teacher, whether it's your teacher connecting you with different opportunities. So when you can graduate high school and have the opportunity set up already. Learning how to stick with something and not change. I'm guilty of that myself. You start down one path, then you change. Go down another path, then you change. Next thing you know, you didn't probably went down 4 or 5 different paths before I found IT. Went to school for cars, auto collision. I went there first. Then went to school for IT. And that's when I kind of stayed in IT. That was more my speed. I still love cars because I sold cars, used cars for a while. And I still love, that's probably going to be one of my proprietorship businesses is getting back into selling used cars, but because I love cars, you know what I'm saying? That's one of my things. But the shortage of information is we have to cultivate that in our kids. Like, before you even get to career, you need to understand about life, how life works. It's going to be unfairness. It's not going to always be, matter of fact, let me pull this up real quick. I think I still got it on here. Let me turn this banner off real quick. There's going to be fair times. You're going to deal with stereotypes. You're going to deal with manipulation, deal with bias, unfairness, being exploited, and race. You're going to deal with all of these things. Sometimes it could be all in one, but you're going to deal with these things. And you got to understand having the mindset to endure this and not let it stop you from getting where you're trying to go. It's like having on new shoes and you step in the mud. Does the mud stop you from keep going, or do you just clean the mud off and keep walking, keep going? That's what this is, like stepping in mud or stepping in clay. And you just clean the clay off and keep it moving. Now, you can let it stay. You can let it stop you from moving, mess up your progress. But at the same time, forward progress is always better than no progress. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. But sometimes you're going to get to that point. Something just ain't right. But if you learn how to get through those moments, I promise you, you'll come out on the other side. So the next one is a lot of trade jobs are in jeopardy because of the worker shortage. There are a lot of trade jobs that they're saying that they're starting to reach. A lot of people in the trades are reaching the age of retirement, and there's not a lot of people coming in behind them to fill those spots. And I would challenge some of those fields that, have you really reached out to the majority of the youth, or are you only reaching out to certain demographics of the youth? Because I've been seeing different little schools, but it's only certain demographic. They talking to the oranges, but they not talking to the apples. There's a lot of oranges in them videos, but I don't see no apples. And another thing to go along with that is a survey was taken, and I think a little over half of the participants responded by saying they prefer remote jobs. We're in a time now where people would choose to work remote, work from home, then go on a job, be up on their feet all day, and do skilled labor jobs. Why is that? Number one, a lot of skilled labor jobs, even though they try to tell you you don't got to go to school, you can do this, but they don't pay you as much. I'm not saying it from a greed standpoint. I'm just saying from a living standpoint. Right now, to go grocery shopping on a conservative, if you just trying to be conservative, you're going to spend $200. For a family, you're going to spend $200 or more going grocery shopping. A lot of people don't want to work a job that every time you get paid, it hurt. Or I got to work so much overtime, I'm not even at home enough. I'm here more than I'm at home in order to make a decent living. But that's what they're not saying, though. Yeah, you're going to make $15, $20 an hour, but they want you to work. You working 15-hour days in a factory or whatever, And a lot of people not choosing it. They're going to like, why would I do that? And I can work from home, in my own home, have my own setup. But the thing is, not everybody's going to get remote jobs, and they starting to shrink right before our eyes. It's not going to happen. This is not how the world works. Everybody's not going to be working. You can't do skilled labor jobs remotely. Working in real estate, you can't do those jobs remotely. And the thing about skilled labor, though, is it's one of those things, if you really understand apprenticeships and how to work those, you can make money doing a lot of things. It's all about having a skill to make money, having a skill that's in demand. Hey, you work on electrician, can you work on this outlet for me real quick? Yeah, give me $120. Plus, if you have a job as an electrician and then doing stuff on the side, because that skill is always in demand, being an electrician. Always in demand. Carpenter, framing, always in demand. They're going to always be building houses and real estate or buildings. Somebody going to always need something remodeled. This is how the game works. But you got to have the skill in order to be able to be referred and make that kind of money. And when you graduate, you're going to find out. It's a whole new world out there. You don't have counselors. You don't have people right there at your in your vicinity. You at home. It's you, and you have to make those thoughts, choices, and decisions. And my last point is, in this world we live in, you got to make good decisions. No matter what field you're in, you got to make good decisions. It don't matter if you educate yourself or not, but it make things better when you educate yourself. You want to go into politics? We just talked about it. You better know it's a bigger picture than what you learn in the book. It's not what you think it is. Let me know in the comments, how much on a percentage scale do regular people know about politics? From 1 to 100, let me know. You want to go play around in the streets? That's the extreme, the violence, but regular people level. You want to go be a player. You want to go do those things. I've been there. What's the cost of playing around in the streets? What's the cost? Labor shortage. That's a two-sided coin, but there is a labor shortage in skilled labor. It's a nuanced conversation. I could probably do a whole podcast about that. Let me know if you'd like to hear about that in the comments. And I didn't even know I was talking for almost an hour, but I'm about to get off. Wanted to come share that on this Saturday conversation. Usually do it on Friday, but too much going on. So with that being said, this is Mike coming at you. CTMTV. Hit the subscribe button. Follow us. Help us grow. So we can reinvest back into making more content, having these conversations for regular people. We're not celebrities. We're regular working people. So with this being said, Mike, CTMTV, I'm signing out. Thanks for watching.